Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. And for people who come in late, good afternoon to you. This open enrollment webinar for Temple Beth Hillel is for plans beginning January 1st, 2023. We want to thank you all for taking the time. If you're doing this on the weekend or on the holidays or after hours, please remember that your broker team is available basically from 9 to 5 during most work days. We're also available by email if you ever want to email us and you want to have a private consultation. But with that, I want to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And then I'm going to open up what you all are going to see when you go into the portal. So I put myself in as a test employee just kind of to run through the process of after you log in. It's going to want you to confirm, your information, your date of birth, your social, if you have a middle name. I'm going to put down I'm single, but of course I am not, but I'll do that today for the sake of brevity. I'm not disabled. I put in my address. It'll ask you to please put in a personal email and telephone number so that if we ever need to contact you, if that's the preferred method, of course, you can include your work telephone number as well. So very straightforward. All right. Then we go down here and it's going to walk you through if you want to add any family members, loved ones, dependents to your plan. Please do remember that this is open enrollment, so this is the time to add your eligible family members to your profile. It doesn't mean, however, that you need to add them to any of your plans, but it is important to have them added in case you ever do need coverage for them. If you need to come to your HR team or to us mid-year because you've lost coverage elsewhere, we call that a qualifying event. So if you adopt a child, if someone in the family gives birth, if they've lost coverage elsewhere, you're able to add that family member mid-year. But in general, you need to do that within 30 days. So you need to act a little bit quickly to at least contact us to let us know what your needs are in that regard to add that family member and of course get coverage for them. All of your pricing for all of your plans will always be in the portal. All of your information is here. Whenever you need to review any information, the portal is available to you 24/7. So whenever you want to remember what medical plan you enrolled in, the dental plan, the vision, any of the other information, all of that will now be available to you and transparent each and every day. We hope you take advantage of that. Your company really wanted you guys to have an enhanced access to all of your information and data so that while you're making your decision as to what you need to do this year, if you want to study this at home with a loved one or partner, you can go ahead and do so without having to feel like you need to get them on a call with us. We are, however, available, as we said, to speak with you and your partners if you want to do so. After you've added any family members, it's going to take you back over to the benefits. I'm going to start to go through the medical plan. And one thing I'd like to let everyone know is that all of the medical plans will be new for January 1 of 2023. What that means, in essence, is that we're going to need all of the employees to enroll or waive for any of the eligible medical plans so that we can ensure that your elections are proper to begin on January 1 of next year. We want to make sure that we capture any data regarding what plans you want to go into, what doctors or medical groups you want to utilize. So we'll go through that for a minute. You'll see what I'm going to do. If you click on the check mark, you'll see that it'll turn green. If you click on the X mark, you're going to see it's going to turn red. When you do click on the check mark this way, it's going to indicate that you're waiving. We will ask you to please indicate why you're waiving, right? Even if you choose just to be without coverage. As you all probably know, your company is incredibly generous. So a lot of the plan choices that you're going to have in here are literally going to have no payroll deduction.
I just wanted to interject really quickly to reiterate that TBH will no longer be offering medical plans under Blue Shield. medical plan offerings will now be either Kaiser Permanente choices or Anthem Blue Cross choices. So this is part of the reason why every eligible staff member will need to go through this open enrollment process. No more Blue Shield. It will be Anthem Blue Cross or it will be Kaiser Permanente, depending on what plan you decide to choose.
Right. And just a brief note about that. One of the things that your company was very concerned about was about opening up the menu of available plans for all of the employees. There may be some employees who really enjoy the services that they used to get at Kaiser. Maybe they're on an old family plan. Those are going to be available. As well, we have some specialized products from Anthem Blue Cross that are really kind of interesting that we'll talk about in a moment. You'll see a box when you're in your portal, and if you click on the compare plans, you're going to see that there's a very simple way for you to compare all the plans side by side. If you go down to the bottom of the screen, it'll allow you to scroll over left and right if you want to do that and compare other plans side by side. And as well, you can export this data over to Excel if you prefer to have something like that kind of document available for you. We find it to be kind of handy for everyone. But this is a really nice way to look at the plan side by side, right? And so what you're going to see here, at least, is that many of the plans initially are going to have a $0 payroll deduction for you as the employee. Very, very generous, right? Please do note that when you add eligible family members to your plan, the prices for those family members will be automatically added if you include that family member in your medical plan. Obviously, as I indicated before, if you don't want to add that family member, right, that's not a problem. You're going to go to your portal, and assuming you had a spouse listed or a child, you would click on the X box if you wanted to waive that family member, or the check mark to agree. Over here on the side of the page, you're going to see a little shopping cart that's going to indicate to you the cost per month for your plans. Of course, your payroll deductions don't come out monthly, they come out per pay period, but we wanted to illustrate what would happen every month in terms of the cost for your plan.
Yeah, the other importance of having this portal for you is many of you already have gone into the portal when we did the enrollment for dental and vision. So most of your information is already stored in here. So you're not starting over. You actually have this information, and you should actually be able to jump right into doing some of your enrollment. If an address has changed, you're going to update that. But one of the reasons why we did this is to do away with paper applications, right? So you don't have to get a paper cut any further on our account. So most of this stuff will be in there in the portal. We utilize those forms if we absolutely need them to send them into a carrier, but a lot of the stuff is actually electronic, and some of it will even get electronically transmitted over to Principal, who is your dental and vision carrier, but they have some other product offerings that we're going to talk about today.
I just wanted to also mention that this process might be confusing for some folks. We do have some staff members that have become newly eligible that recently enrolled in the last few months. So I want to let folks know that this is the general open enrollment period time for all TBH staff. So even if you have recently enrolled in health benefits in the last few months, everyone should be enrolling and re-enrolling during this open enrollment process for an effective date of January 1st. So this open enrollment is for all TBH staff to re-enroll, reselect the dental and all of the health benefits, in addition to the new offerings that TBH has now. So everyone that received an email from me is benefit eligible, and whether you want to decline coverage or enroll, everyone must go through this open enrollment process. Part of the reason why we're also changing the effective date is so that so that all of your deductibles will be on a calendar year like your deductibles are, for the various health plans. So I just wanted to make this less confusing for folks, to just tell you, I know some people might be thinking, well, I just enrolled 2 months ago. Do I have to do this again? Yes, you have to do it again, especially if you're enrolled in medical, because we're no longer going to be offering Blue Shield. It's now Anthem and Kaiser. So, so that's what open enrollment is for, and that's what we're doing now.
Thank you, Leslie. So I want to briefly go over one of the interesting new plans from Anthem Blue Cross. I'm going to briefly go over one of the Kaiser HMOs. There's other plans available. You're going to see them available down your list. Some of them are going to be very inexpensive. This Kaiser Platinum HMO happens to be 32 cents a month. I don't know how you can beat that kind of cost. That's pretty terrific. But let me go through for a minute and talk about this Anthem kind of new plan called Vivity. So Vivity is a relatively unique arrangement. It's been available in what they call the large group marketplace for employers who have more than 100 employees for about, 7 to 10 years, so quite a while. It's new in the small group arena. It's only been in small group for about a year. But the interesting thing about it is that rather than giving you a small network of doctors to work with, some of whom you may not know, this network, this plan uses primarily doctors at UCLA, Cedars, and groups like Providence for your care. So if you're interested in trying to get to doctors at UCLA and Cedars, for example, this is going to be terrific. One of the unique features of the Vivity platform is if you have a primary care doctor, let's say with Providence here in the Valley, and you need to get a higher level of care from a specialist at UCLA or Cedars, they will actually refer you to that higher level doctor without changing you out of your medical group, and allow you to stay with your current primary care doctor, but they will refer you to that higher end specialist if you want to be, for whatever that care may be. So as an example, we live out here in Woodland Hills. We have primary care doctors out in Thousand Oaks, funny enough, and here in the Valley. But my wife had some things she had to do last year, and all of her surgeons and doctors like that were directly at UCLA. You're able to go to those doctors directly, right, with a referral from your doctor without changing your primary care, whether that be your OBGYN or your internist or family practitioner. You're going to see there's a lot of benefits with Anthem Blue Cross. There's preventative care, and there's a way for you to look for your prescriptions. But let me open up the information on some of the benefits really quick so you can see how strong this policy is. This is a $0 deductible policy. What that means for you, of course, is that whether you're going to a doctor or hospital, there'll never be a deductible on this plan. There's no other deductibles for any other services, including prescriptions, and the maximum out of pocket that you or a loved one will pay each year is $2,500. And that includes every prescription, every doctor copayment, every cost for hospitalization, you name it. If you ever pay out $2,500 out of pocket, at that point, the plan maximum has been satisfied. And at that point, they'll cover 100% of all expenses for the balance of that calendar year. Any quick questions on that so far? Okay. As you probably know from your Blue Shield plan, when you sign up with an HMO, you're going to pick a primary care doctor, and that primary care doctor visit will be $15. And they're noting right here on your summary of benefits that you're not covered outside the network. So just remember, even though you're getting a very high level of care, if you pick UCLA Medical Group or Cedars-Sinai or whatever it may be, you're going to primarily be going to doctors within that medical group for your care. If you need to go to a specialist, it would be $30. If you need a diagnostic test or x-ray, it would be $25. And for an expensive test like a CT scan and MRI, those in general are $1,000 to $1,500. You're only going to pay $300 per visit. In general, if you need prescriptions, we want you to understand, and you've probably seen this before, they're broken down by what type of prescription you're getting. You'll see here that if you get a typical generic prescription under this plan, it would be $5. And if you want to get this through mail order, you can get a 3-month supply for $13. For tier 2 prescriptions, it's 25 and 75. Tier 3 are 75 and 225. And tier 4, what we would call specialty drugs, that would be $250 retail and home delivery. All right. If you do have an outpatient surgery, we want you to know that it would be $500 per visit. If you go to the ER room, it would be $500. What we do highly recommend is that you find out the urgent care for your doctor or medical group. So if you're signing up with Cedars-Sinai or UCLA, you're going to want to find out where urgent care is for them, because if you go in on the weekend when your doctor's office is closed, urgent care will only be $15 rather than $500 at the ER room. So we just want to make sure that you write down. What I tend to do is when I sign up for a plan, I take a little yellow piece and I put it on the back, a yellow stickum thing, and I put it on the back of my card saying, here's the telephone number for urgent care, here's where they're located, and here are the days they're open and the time.
Chuck, can you reiterate how we would find out if we're enrolled in an HMO, how we would find out the urgent care centers that are affiliated with our particular medical group? Do we
Right.
need to...
So when you get your ID card from Anthem Blue Cross, and or in the case of Kaiser, you can call them and say, please give me the address for your urgent care facility and the times they're open each day. Right? Sometimes the urgent care will be open after hours on the weekdays, and it'll be open all day Saturday, maybe a half day Sunday, right? But you're going to want to call your medical group that you chose for your primary care doctor, and they will immediately let you know the urgent care that's affiliated with their group.
Okay, so that's not something that shows on like Anthem Blue Cross's website. That's something that we need to...
I'll be frank with you, it is there, but it may take you 20 minutes to find on the website rather than just calling the medical group and asking them. We don't want people to get bogged down in the website. It's not, sometimes what is very straightforward to us because we do it every day is not as straightforward for the employees. For anyone who wants to know, they can feel free to email us or call us, and we can get that information for them. But we just don't want people waiting and struggling to go through the website to try to find, that urgent care facility.
Well, there's also the special number on the Vivity cards, right? So if anybody enrolls in what's called quote unquote Vivity, this is the plan that we were mentioning with Cedars and UCLA and Providence. There's actually a special Vivity concierge that you can call. Those people only handle phone calls for Vivity members. So you can actually get through very quickly, right? They are not answering calls for any of the other products that Anthem offers. So when you go to those people, and I've called them myself on the behalf of members, they have a good attitude, they're nice. No, I just mean, a lot of times you're struggling to call the claims department or something because you have an issue and nobody ever picks up the phone, right? I've had the experience of actually, calling over there and trying to get information for a member. We were tracking down a doctor to see if they were in the network because it didn't show somewhere. It didn't show the person on the UCLA website. So this person was concerned, like, hey, I might not be able to find my doctor. And so that's what we were doing, over the phone. But they're there to also identify those issues and also get you, in the right direction for claims. So it's a little bit more than just what is happening on some of the other medical plans. It's an extra feature that's included.
I'm glad you brought that up, Jonathan. So I think what I'm going to do is, after we're done with the meeting today, is I'm going to grab the brochure for the concierge service under Vivity, and I'm going to place it in the plans, in the portal for every one of the plans, so that if people want to contact the concierge at any time, so they can have that telephone number directly, in their portal.
Yeah, I think the other thing that we have different levels of Vivity plans in the portal this year. I think the other thing to mention is that maybe in the past, you want to put your dependents on, you don't want to put your dependents on, you're looking for a way to do that, I think that the Vivity plans are going to come a good option, a decent option for putting dependents on and still being able to get that high level care, at UCLA and Cedars and Providence, which may not have been obtainable for some people before. And I think that's going to be another thing that we strive for, with your employer to make that happen for this year.
Can you reiterate the plan that employees and their spouse and or dependents need to enroll in? If I enroll in a particular plan, does that then mean that my spouse and dependents need to enroll in that same plan?
Absolutely.
I'm glad you brought that up. So please understand that as the employee, the choice of plan is yours, and any family members that you enroll will also enroll in the identical plan. So we can't have you pick a different plan for your children than you're enrolling in. So if you choose to enroll in the gold plan, they're going to be in the gold plan as well, and the platinum as well. It all kind of follows what we call your eligibility as the employee, right? So that is something that you want to consider when if you are going to add family members, you're going to want to kind of add your family members, look at some of the plans that might interest you. And when you click on them, you're going to very quickly see a different cost for each of the plans so that you can, of course, make this within your budget. So the most important thing that we talk about with employees about coverage is we want you to be a very good consumer. We want you to make sure that the plans you're getting through the Temple are of the best value for you. If you have a better opportunity elsewhere, something that's a better value for your spouse or for your children, our advice to you as brokers would be, we'd like you to take that. Our only thing that we want you to do is to be a very proactive consumer and get the best thing for your family, right? Remember, insurance is quite expensive, so it is very important to kind of be a good consumer. We hope you'll let us help you to plan for everything. That's what our consultative process is for. So in the email that went out to everyone is a little bit of information on how they can contact Jonathan or myself so that you can go ahead and have a 20-minute consultation, and we can maybe assist you to go through that process a little bit quicker with a little bit more information than you would have to do on your own. We found that a lot of the employees are really happy with that and enjoy that because we're able to get to a bottom line for them a lot quicker than they may be able to on their own. So if we could be of help, we'd really love to.
Thank you. We appreciate that. And I just want to also reiterate that if an employee enrolls in a particular plan, especially if it's an HMO plan, my primary care physician does not have to be the same primary care physician as my spouse and or dependents. The plan is what needs to be the same in terms of enrollment, correct?
Thank you. That's terrific. Yes, so that's exactly correct. Remember, if you want your primary care physician to be a female or a male, you can do that. Of course, for your children, typically you'll want them to go to a pediatrician, right? Maybe you're very happy with a provider in a certain group, but a different group would be better for your spouse or for your children. We just want to make sure that we get you to the right provider for your care. And please do remember, with all of these HMO plans, if we need to make a change, if you went to an office and they weren't friendly, they didn't validate your parking, or they didn't give you proper care, right? If we contact the carrier, or you do, before the 15th of the month, by the 1st of the next month, we can get you to a new medical group. So whenever you have an issue and you feel like you're not getting proper care, maybe unfortunately you go to a doctor and they spend 2 minutes with you rather than really learning about you and what's important regarding your health history. We want you to get that better care. So we would advise you probably get to another provider, right, who's able to spend more time with you to ensure that you obviously get everything taken care of. Thank you, Leslie. All right, so you'll see we've taken a little bit of time to talk about this plan. All right, this is just one of the many wonderful plans available for you. Oh, it logged me out, pardon me. Sorry. Okay, so I'm going to go back. I'm going to click this again. There's a gold level Vivity plan. This is a terrific option for any of you who wants to check out the price to add a spouse or a loved one to the plan, right? Your company is quite generous. And by you going with a gold level plan rather than a platinum level plan, some of the money that your company is allocated for you will actually carry over to this to help you subsidize a little bit of that cost. All right, so that's a terrific option. This plan, I'm going to open it up really quick. Again, it's a $0 deductible plan, but one thing you're going to notice immediately is that the platinum plan at a $2,500 out-of-pocket max, the out-of-pocket maximum on this gold level plan is $6,150. So potentially you could spend quite a bit more out of pocket, but in general, the benefits again are a very high level. $25 doctor visits, $50 for a specialist, very similar cost for a diagnostic test and for imaging. Prescriptions are a little more, 10 and 25 on generic. I think the other one was 5 and 13. All right. Outpatient surgical center, $500 per visit. If you are hospitalized, $500 a day for a 4-day maximum. So it's still an incredible deal. For a lot of you who might look at other medical plans on the outside, other than the out-of-pocket maximum being higher, most of the core benefits of this plan would be generally regarded at the platinum level. The only thing they did on here to really make it more costly is to make it have an out-of-pocket max of $6,150. So if you rarely are hospitalized, or if you do have someone in the family where you're doing some family planning, most of the time under both these plans, you're going to spend 1 or 2 days in the hospital for maternity care. Under both of these, your maximum out of pocket would be the same for that, $1,000. So we would basically say this would be a great way for you to cover part of the cost for your family members if you want to look at a gold level plan. Right? And of course, again, Jonathan and I would be available to help you plan for that if you do need to plan for an upcoming surgery, or if, of course, if you're planning a family. In addition to that, we have plans available from Kaiser Permanente. Again, the silver level plan from Kaiser is primarily available for people who need to add a family member, who need a lower price point, still terrific benefits. Here's the Anthem Gold Select HMO 30. The Select network of physicians, along with Vivity, basically comprise every medical group across California. So when you look at the Select HMO and you look at Vivity, between having Cedars-Sinai and UCLA and Vivity and the Select HMO elsewhere, you're going to have access to every medical group you would ever want. If you want to be in something outside of Cedars and UCLA, you like going to your neighborhood provider and they happen to be in the Select network, again, you're going to have a choice of both a gold level and a platinum level as well. The benefits are going to be very comparable to the ones that we just talked about under the Vivity plan. But in between here, you're going to see some other options. You're going to see a prudent buyer PPO plan that you can still enroll with at a $0 cost. We think that's incredibly terrific that your company is so generous with what they're doing and so that you're able to do that. And I'm just going to walk you through a couple of the plans from Kaiser so you get a better feel for that. For people who haven't been on Kaiser before, Kaiser's a little bit different model. They own and operate their own facilities. So they own and operate the doctor's offices and medical groups. Here's a typical gold $0 deductible plan from Kaiser. Again, you're going to see a $0 deductible. Again, very high level of benefits, a $7,500 out-of-pocket max, $30 copay to see the primary care doctor, $50 to see a specialist, X-ray and lab at $40 and $30, imaging at $250. Again, prescriptions as they typically are broken up by tier. If you are hospitalized, the facility fee is a maximum of $600 a day, but you see here now it's up to 5 days. So the Kaiser plans are still terrific, but they're going to have a little different design than the Anthem plans. So you want to pay attention to that when you're comparing plans side by side, in particular, if you have an upcoming surgery. Let me get to the Platinum plan from Kaiser. So this is your comparable Platinum plan from Kaiser. Again, $0 copay, pardon me, $0 deductible, a $4,500 out-of-pocket max. But a lot of people have told me, to be quite frank, it's very hard to get to the out-of-pocket maximum with our friends at Kaiser because the cost for Kaiser members is greatly reduced because they own and operate the facility. $20 copay for primary care, $30 for a specialist, x-ray and blood work, 30 and 20. You see here the cost for an MRI at Kaiser just went down. It's only $100 per procedure at Kaiser rather than $300 or $350 with Anthem. If you are hospitalized, the facility fee is a maximum of $250 per day up to 5 days. So again, a very high level of care with Kaiser. Any questions about the Kaiser plan at all?
I don't have a question. I do want to reiterate though to staff that in general, Maureen and I worked really diligently with Chuck and Jonathan to make sure that we were offering medical plans that were comparable to what we currently have with Blue Shield, and to even expand those offerings. So so there are plans that are definitely comparable to what the Temple is currently offering, in addition to offering Kaiser plans and whatnot. So I just want to let folks know and be aware that you know, no one's really losing coverage or losing the ability to still select the primary care physician and or medical group that you may currently be enrolled in.
And we would love the opportunity to help you go through that. So if you have a lot of questions, and you might, because these are brand new plans, we hope you'll take the time to contact us. So as long as we know the name of your preferred doctor or medical group, we can let you know what networks they're in. If you have a surgery or other concern, we want to assist you with that. Even if it comes down to, well, maybe you don't go to the doctor that often, maybe 2 or 3 times a year, but maybe a member of the family takes a lot of medicine and you want to plan out a better way to get the prescriptions at a low cost. So we'd love to help you with that as well.
Yeah, the only thing to keep in mind, if you haven't ever enrolled in Kaiser before, and this is going to be your first year, is just to keep in mind with Kaiser, you go to all Kaiser doctors. So you pick a facility that you want to go to, and that's the facility where you're going to obtain, you know, your services. Whereas with Anthem, right, we're picking Anthem providers. So, you know, Kaiser people are not going to go to Anthem, and Anthem people are not going to Kaiser. I know it sounds funny to restate that, but for somebody who might be choosing these options for the first time, it's just important to know where you're going to go.
So I'm going to go ahead. I happen to love Vivity because all of our family's doctors are UCLA. So I'm going to click that and I'm going to hit save for myself so I can go on to the next information. I'd like to now go through the dental plans. What we'd like to remind everyone, because this is open enrollment, even if you recently chose your dental and vision plans, you can make a change during open enrollment to a different style if it's better for you or a member of the family. So if you go through the dental options, you'll notice that there's 2 plans with an identical $2,000 benefit. And your company, again, is incredibly generous. If you utilize the EPO dental network, it generally means that you have to stay within the EPO network and you're going to have a lower cost out of pocket because the EPO dentists are less expensive than the PPO dentist. So for example, if you're going in for a crown or a root canal, and the cost with a PPO dentist for a root canal was, I don't know, $600, that same root canal may only be $500 under the EPO plan. For both of these plans, they look at what type of service you're getting done to determine how they're going to reimburse you. So I'm going to pull up the POS PPO summary just to go through that with you quickly as a review. And I apologize, they give us very lengthy documents. Okay. So when you're in the POS, or what we call the PPO plan, you're going to see 3 different levels of care. There's an EPO network component, a PPO component, and an out-of-network component. What they're trying to indicate to everyone here is you can basically go to any of the dental offices in any of their networks, or even to a dentist outside the network, and you're still going to have a full $2,000 per year benefit. The difference is if you go to someone outside the network, you're going to see they're only covering 80% of the cost, whereas in network under the PPO and under the EPO, they're covering that same preventative care at 100%. All right. Please do remember, and this is kind of our rule of thumb, if you're going to a dentist outside of the network and you're going to get more than $200 or $300 worth of care, or for a loved one, please ask your dental office for a treatment plan. With that treatment plan will come their estimate of what they think you're going to have to pay out of pocket. It's very important because we know that you have very good benefits through these plans, but dentistry is expensive. So you don't know if you're going to the dentist and you're just going for even a basic office cleaning, and Principal Financial believes that office cleaning should be $100, but your dental office wants to charge $250. What that means is even after Principal has made their payment to you or the dentist, however they reimburse, you're still going to have an additional cost out of pocket because your provider may give you a bill for more than the negotiated fee from the carrier.
Chuck, with this screen here, can
Yeah.
you explain, because there's 2 columns that both say EPO. So which one is one of them supposed to be the PPO cost and the POS PPO cost?
No,
And
so let me explain that. So I
Oh, okay.
apologize, it doesn't highlight it that well, but there's a thing here that says calendar year deductible. I don't know if you can see that clearly on the
Yes, I
screen.
can see that.
I apologize.
Mhm.
What they're trying to indicate is if you go under the EPO or the in-network PPO, that you'll have no deductible for preventative care services. If you go to an out-of-network dentist, you would have a $50 a year deductible. So I should mention that the deductible under these plans is a one-time per year deductible of $50. It's not, it doesn't have to do with how many times a year you go. It's just a one-time deductible of $50. All right. And you'll
Okay,
see
so
that.
so that column that says in network, that actually means in network PPO. That means the PPO plan.
It does.
Okay, got you. Okay.
And what they're trying to indicate here, although I don't think they did the best job in the world, is that if you get basic services and major, even with the EPO or PPO dentist, there is a $50 per year one-time deductible. All right. We do even have some orthodontia coverage on here for children. It is a maximum benefit of $1,000, but for any of you who have children going for orthodontia, we were able to get that from the carrier at a low enough cost for the temple to be able to take care of that for you. So it's something that you want to consider if you do need orthodontia for your child or children.
So much better in here.
All right. Any questions on that? No? Okay. So I want to go over quickly what is preventative care, what is basic care, what is major care. Preventative care are things like cleanings, x-rays, exams. For typical cleanings, you get 2 per year. Full mouth x-rays once every 5 years, regular bite wing x-rays once per year. All right. Basic services would be things like a filling, oral surgery, a root canal, things like that. For all of that, you can see if you flip back to the prior page, basic services are covered at 80%. All right. So it means if you go in for a root canal and it's a $500 fee, they're going to cover 400 of it, pardon me, and you would pay $100 of that cost. Major services, they're covering at 50. And when you go down here, things that are major are things like crowns, implants, bridge work, dentures, oral surgery that's complex, things like that. And in general, those are covered at 50-50. So what we're gonna tell you to do is to be smart about how you plan this out, right? Because you do get only a $2,000 benefit per year. Yes, it's more than you used to get in the past, but it's still only $2,000. And to be frank with you, dentistry has gotten to be expensive. So we want you to get that treatment plan. Don't forget, whether you're going to the in-network or out-of-network dentist, we want you to know what you're going to be up against before you get all the work done. Every once in a while, unfortunately, we'll have a client who'll go to the dental office and they have some pain going on, whatever it may be, and the dentist does a lot of work and they don't have time to get that treatment plan, and they end up with a much bigger bill than they expected. The dental offices have gotten to be very smart about how they bill and how they're able to generate fees. So we're just asking everyone to be a good consumer, and again, be careful. All right. Any questions on the dental? Okay, so if you want to find a network dentist, this information is in your portal, but you go to principal.com/dentist, or you can just call their 800 number and they'll tell you. All right, very straightforward and easy. It's on page 6 of your EPO book. Pardon me, POS book. All right, so I'll get out of here. Bear with me a moment. Okay, so I like the lower cost of the EPO because I kind of need a lot of dental work. It's a smaller network of dental providers, but it helps me to better control costs. So that's probably what I would do. I then would go ahead and look at my vision options. You guys have a terrific vision plan. It utilizes the VSP network, which is the largest private practice network in the US, right? So if you call your neighborhood optometrist and ask them if they're VSP, typically most of them would say they are, right? You see, I need that. I'm wearing glasses right now, so I'm going to go ahead and enroll. I'm going to open up the summary, though, to talk about it for a brief minute. As you'll see from the plan, pardon me, you have an exam copayment of $10. So that means once every year, if you want to go to your optometrist and get an exam, it'll be a $10 copay. That's in general worth $75, $100, depending, maybe even a little more, depending on who you go to. So a great option, $10 copay. And then if you need lenses and frames, as I do, it's a $25 copay. If you get single vision, bifocal, trifocal, lenticular, right, polycarbonate for kids up to the age of 18, it's going to be a single copay of $25, and they're going to cover the rest. All right.
Chuck, do you happen to know if places like Costco or Walmart, if they're covered under this VSP vision plan?
They are, because they're a discounter, they provide a little bit less of a frame allowance than you would get from a normal optometrist, but they're fully covered. All right. And then, of course, if you want contacts rather than frames and lenses, that's going to be covered. The wonderful thing about your plan in specific is that you get an exam every 12 months, you get lenses every 12 months, you get frames every 12 months. So you're kind of all covered. Any questions there at all? Okay. Again, if you need to find a VSP optometrist, they make it very simple. You can call their 800 number. They can help you find some VSP doctors, pardon me, or optometrists in your area, right? You will get an ID card on this. I know that in the past, for some of our clients, they actually don't get an actual ID card when they go direct with VSP, but Principal Financial will issue you an ID card. That's important for you to know. However, I will be frank with you in telling you, most optometrists don't need the ID cards anymore because most of them have gone electronic. So for most of them, you walk in, they ask you for your name, some of your demographic information, they punch you into the computer, and that's how they verify your benefit.
It looks like the, with principal, there's one ID card that's for vision and dental.
That's
That's what
correct.
it
So
looks
if some,
like,
so
yeah.
for some people who don't enroll in the dental, they'll still get the vision ID card as well.
And vice versa. If you're
Of
not in
course.
vision, but you're in dental, yeah, it's the same card.
Right. Now, interesting, what you're going to see, if you look at my screen, you're going to see that for the medical plan, dental plan, again, because the temple is so generous, I would have a $0 cost, but I do have a cost for the vision plan, right, that I need to enroll in. We're going to go through this. One of the new benefits that's kind of terrific as well that your company is doing this year is all employees are going to be enrolled in the basic life and AD&D plan, and the company's paying, again, 100% of the cost on your behalf. What that does mean, however, is that we'll need everyone to fill out a beneficiary when they go through their online enrollment, because God forbid something happens, we need to know which loved one you want to get the money. If you want to split that up between more than one person, you're free to do so. All right. But please do remember, if you're in the process of getting married, if someone's going through a divorce, please remember you need to update your beneficiary designation when you have those life-changing events, right? Because we need to ensure that that money's paid out correctly as you wanted.
Well, yes.
How does that get, Chuck, how does that get updated? Once I complete this open enrollment process, and let's say 2 or 3 months from now, I have something has changed, or I need to change the beneficiary. How do I do that?
So remember, even though open enrollment has changed, you can update your address, you can add dependents, you can update your beneficiary 24/7. So the portal is still there and available for all the employees all year round. We just won't allow them to go in and make changes to the benefits without your approval. So if someone does have what we call a qualifying event, they've lost coverage elsewhere for a spouse, they need to add them to the plan through the temple, we can actually help them with that process. But to be frank with you, that's with the approval of you as the administrator.
Okay, but I can change my beneficiary. I can change my address anytime I want to. I can go into the portal and do that.
Correct. So that's how we make sure that our information stays as up to date as we can.
Okay.
Yeah, because if
You'll
get a
see
new
under the
spouse-
basic plan from the temple, everyone's covered for a $25,000 benefit. However, there is a reduction in that benefit once you turn 65 and 70. I apologize, Jonathan, did I cut you off?
No, all I was gonna say was, it's always good to make sure that you update the beneficiary if you have a new spouse, because that other spouse is gone now. You don't want the money to go to the wrong person. So it sounds like kind of a joke, but it really isn't, because there's nothing more frustrating when you're going through this. And because the documents are set up that way, that's exactly it's going to get paid to.
So unfortunately, from time to time, we try to make light of it, but it's very important. Someone will have a life-changing event and they don't notify us and they don't update their information in the portal. And please do remember, because this is a contract, a written document, the insurance company is going to do precisely as you indicate, right? We can't do anything verbally. It's not with a phone call. We need everything to be done properly and to be documented so that it can be done precisely the way you want. We're not able to change this money and where it's going out to, even if a mistake is made. Okay. So one of the things that we're adding to the portfolio of available plans for you is a short-term and a long-term disability benefit. Both of these are what we call voluntary benefits. That means when you do enroll in these, right, they would require a payroll deduction. As you all might know, there is a short-term disability plan that each and every one in California already has through California State Disability. That plan, however, only covers you generally to 60% of your pre-disability earnings. You are able to pick up an additional benefit by going into the voluntary short-term disability plan. And you'll see that it picks up to ensure that you get at least 70% rather than 60% of your pre-disability earnings. That's getting you a little bit closer to replacing your salary should you be unable to work due to sickness or accident. The benefit on this runs along with state disability. It goes for the first full year. So you're going to see the benefits are for 51 weeks when you go through your portal. That's because the first week is what we call a waiting period. They won't pay you out immediately if you're unable to work. They make you wait until the 8th day. So your benefits under the plan begin on the 8th day, both for state disability and under the plan from Principal Financial.
On this form, it says the primary weekly benefit is 70% of your earnings up to $1,500. And there's a similar statement for long-term disability. What does that up to $1,500? What does that mean?
Okay, so all of these plans have a limitation on how much they will pay out. All
So
right.
that's the maximum payout.
So the maximum payout you could get, let's say, for example, Principal Financial found an employee to be disabled, but the state of California did not. It's rare, but it could happen. So let's assume that someone was able to get a benefit, right? And they qualified for a benefit based upon 70% of their earnings of $1,700 a week. The maximum this plan will guarantee you is $1,500 in a weekly benefit.
Oh, that's for the weekly
Yes.
benefit amount. Okay,
Yes.
got
Correct.
you. Okay, got you.
Yeah, I wanted to make that clear that this is weekly. And when you look at long-term disability in a minute, it will be monthly.
Okay.
And briefly, for any of your employees who are still planning for their families, pregnancy and childbirth are treated the same as any other disability. Okay, important for you to know. Okay, so I picked that up. I've had cancer previously. It's something that I'm concerned about, so I did that. It's going to cost me $31.36, and therefore that's added to my little shopping cart down here as something that I would have come out of my paycheck. Similarly, we're going to have
Well, one other thing we should
long-term
say.
disability.
One thing we should say before we go on to the next one, both short-term and long-term disability depend on your compensation, which has been entered into the portal already. So if for any reason, if you want to double check that with Leslie along the way, these are all calculated off of values that we have and we were given, but we got this information about a month and a half ago. So if your salary has gone up or if you've gotten a raise, it may need to be updated here. Now, the disability people over at Principal, when you file a claim, will actually ask you for paycheck information. So they will make their new calculations then. But if you wanted to show up correctly in our system, the way to do that is to just double check with Leslie or even with us, just so that we can make sure, confidentially that the right numbers are in there.
I will make it a point in the next couple of days during open enrollment to be sure that all staff salary is correct and updated.
Thank you for that. Okay, so what happens then at the end of a year? So when I had cancer, it took me quite a long time to battle it. During the first year, you get state disability benefits. If you join this plan, you'll also get benefits from Principal Financial. But at the end of 1 year, state disability goes away. When it goes away, in general, to qualify for Social Security disability is incredibly difficult. So we have a long-term plan. This plan is actually incredibly low priced. You'll see that for me, it's $7.63. And these benefits would begin right when the short-term plan ends, and it would give me 60% of my prior earnings to a maximum of $6,000 per month. So long-term disability is a monthly benefit. Short-term disability is a weekly benefit. Okay. This is going to protect my occupation at the temple for 2 years. So basically, for most employees, that would mean a minimum of a 2-year benefit. And at the end of 2 years, if I was still totally disabled and unable to do any work, potentially these benefits would be paid out to the time when I turned 65. For some of you, retirement is now 67. For someone like my brother, I think retirement is now age 70. So, but it's basically going to go to the normal retirement age, depending on, your bracket with Social Security. And the idea here is we want you to have an opportunity to protect your income, because that's your main livelihood should you be unable to work due to sickness or accident. The life insurance is great. We want you to protect your loved ones. That's incredibly important. But at the same time, we find a lot of people today get an illness, and so many things today, they're able to fight the illness and continue and go on, even when they're unable to work. And so this is going to protect your ability to have an income, to pay that mortgage or rent payment, to pay those car payments, whatever it may be. Obviously, very important for you to have an income on an ongoing basis.
Yeah, so the one thing before we go on to the other benefits to note is, so yes, the temple is now giving us the ability to offer these plans. The thing that's really important is most people cannot get this coverage on their own. So a long-term disability plan, right? This isn't something that you can get from a spouse or something like that. The benefits don't work that way. They're only offered to the employee, right? And why that's so significant is your employer has to be able to offer that coverage, which is what is happening now. So that's awesome, right? This is one of the only things that's going to protect your paycheck. That's why they sometimes label long-term disability as a paycheck protection. And there are long-term disability policies out there in the world, but unfortunately, they're super expensive. They're hard to qualify for because you take a full medical exam. So getting it through, your group setting is a great way to do this, because it's probably one of the least expensive items, that are out there, right? And it's going to protect you, because at the end of the day, we always bring this up at meetings, is a lot of people might go out there in the street and they get hit by a bus, but they don't die. So what happens? So if you don't die, you still need something to keep you living. So that's the long-term disability plan. But we'll talk about, like, in a minute or two, term life insurance, which that's going to pay you out if you do die from getting hit by the bus. But the way I see it, unless the bus rolls over you twice, you're living.
Can you answer for me on the disability benefit sheets? It talks about own occupation period. Can you tell me what that means?
I can. So I thank you for bringing that up. So for you, exactly, you're the administrator for the plans. For other employees there, they could be a rabbi, a cantor, they can be an office manager, they could be a teacher. This is saying that if you can't be a teacher, if you can't be an administrator, that's your occupation, and that's what we're protecting you against. So as a teacher, right, if you're interacting with children and you're unable to do so due to the nature of your disability, they're going to consider you disabled, right? Even if you could do other things, and they're going to do that for 2 years. If at the end of that 2 years, you're still disabled and you're unable to do any other work as well, they're going to consider you to be totally disabled and potentially pay out this benefit until the day that you would normally retire.
Okay.
Yeah, so the own occupation is the single most important part of the policy, because if that 2-year own occupation was not in there, the policy would definitely not be any good at all. So if anybody has ever looked at one or wondered, hey, what would be the difference between this and something that could be less expensive or whatever, it's usually that definition of disability. That's everything.
Okay. So the next benefit I want to talk about is called critical illness. Again, this is a voluntary plan, meaning that you will have a payroll deduction if you enroll in this. I happen to need this. I've had some things happen in my past, as you could tell from what I said. This is again very affordable, $2.94. I'm going to open this up and better explain what we talk about. So you can buy from $5,000 to $50,000 of benefits under this plan. It's a guaranteed issue without regard to your health history, up to $15,000 in benefits. With this plan, the insurance company is going to pay you a lump sum if you get any one of these diseases. If you have a heart attack, if you have cancer, if you have organ failure, if you have MS, if you get Parkinson's, if you have a stroke, right? And so what happens is, as I've gotten older, things have started to happen. Maybe there's cancer that runs in your family. Maybe there's heart disease, right? The first thing that happens when you have an illness of that type is you're unable to work. Now, we understand that your plans are incredibly high level, the platinum plans, the gold level plans through Temple Beth Hillel. But whenever you're out of work, let's be honest, the bills pile up. So this is a way to give you a way to supplement what's going on over and above the health insurance, to provide a lump sum so that you can take care of your loved ones and yourself when you've gotten this diagnosis of having this type of event.
Chuck, can you answer if the lump sum payout is it taxable?
It is not taxable. It's tax-free.
Okay, and then the other question is for these ancillary benefits, are they pre-tax?
They
Like
are.
for the
So
long-term
let me clarify. In
Okay.
general, you can pay for disability insurance with pre-tax dollars if you want. We happen to recommend you don't. For
Oh.
disability insurance, when you pay for it with pre-tax dollars, the potential benefit becomes taxable. With
Okay,
critical illness and accident, you can actually pay for it pre-tax and the benefit is tax-free. So
okay,
it's kind of a terrific thing for the critical illness and accident that's a little bit different than the disability plan.
okay. I'll be sure to circle back with you after this meeting to make sure that we're appropriately coding these ancillary offerings.
When we send you the payroll deduction run like we normally do, it actually will have a separate column for the after tax and the pre-tax.
Yeah.
All
I'll
right.
need to know ahead of time because folks are needing to sign off on,
Understood.
yeah, got you.
Okay, so this again is a great benefit for anyone like me who has a family history with different things or something going on. Again, very affordable, $2.94 per month. One of the main things here being 15,000 of coverage is a guaranteed issue. So if you have prior health history like me, you want to consider that whether or not this is a valuable benefit for your family. We also have a voluntary accident plan. Again, this is going to pay you lump sum benefits if you have an accident. So if you have a loved one who does a lot of things on the weekend that are maybe a little more rigorous than they might, maybe they surf all the time, maybe they mountain climb, maybe they're just incredibly active, the accident plan is a terrific way for you to ensure that you're going to have some extra money in your pocket to cover those expenses if they do end up with different things, whether they have a burn, a coma, a concussion, even a dental injury. All of these things, again, are going to pay you a lump sum. And again, this plan is guaranteed issue. So this is the kind of thing we want to make sure that you understand. This plan is available to you without regard to your prior health history for your family or children, right? Again, this is a voluntary benefit. No one has to do this. Again, for me, I find it to be beneficial, so I would have enrolled. I'm going to save that. The voluntary term life. Wow, this is a big one. Okay. So in addition to the $25,000 benefit provided by the Temple, you have the opportunity to get additional coverage for yourself to cover your loved ones. Maybe you need 50,000 of coverage. Maybe you need 100,000 of coverage. As you can see, for me, that 100,000 would be $10.30 per month. And what you're going to recognize about this plan is that it allows you to immediately, just with your signature, get up to $100,000 of coverage guaranteed issue. No health exam, no blood work. You want the coverage. You're going to elect it during this open enrollment. They're going to issue the policy. All right. You can also get a policy for your spouse, right? If your spouse is under age 70, they're going to give you 25,000 guaranteed issue, and the maximum they'll give to your spouse in terms of coverage is 100,000. But again, very important for some of you, if you don't have a private policy covering yourself or your loved ones, and you want to get something very quickly, this is a terrific way. It'll just be a payroll deduction added to everything else, right? So for me, again, it's important having a prior health history. The guaranteed issue feature during this plan year is incredibly important. We don't want anyone to be turned down for anything, but please do remember, everybody, if you waive off these plans this year, you don't want the disability coverage, you don't want the life insurance or other plans, and you want it in the future, the insurance company has the right to ask you for what we call evidence of insurability, or EOI, where they can ask you to fill out a short form to indicate that you are healthy. So if you wait till next year for some of these and you try, and you do have a health history like I have, unfortunately, they could turn you down. So we're just trying to let everyone know it is important to take advantage of the guaranteed issue feature, right? We don't want people to be turned down in the future. And that's why in the first year of the plan, they provide this benefit where you just have to sign your name.
And so, Chuck, just to be clear, guaranteed issue means that up to $100,000, the insurance company will allow me to enroll for that amount without requesting health history or whatnot. But if I wanted to get, let's say, a $200,000 policy, they may ask me some health questions.
They will. They'll have you fill out a form. Some of it will either be a PDF or online. And it's basically asking you generally about your health history. There won't be a blood test, but they're going to ask you to affirm, like for me, would they say, hey, Chuck, did you previously have cancer? Do you have heart disease? And all these different things. What medicine do you take? Right? And so this is a nice, easy way for a lot of people to get some coverage where maybe in the past they weren't able to, right? Because it is guaranteed issue. So both for the life and disability plans, we just want to make sure that everyone knows it is important not to enroll this year, right? But it's important to consider if this is a valuable benefit for you, because if it is, we'd like you to think about doing it this year because it is guaranteed.
And what happens if I enroll in the life insurance plan and I am no longer an employee of Temple Beth Hillel in 5 years from now?
Right. So let me bring it up and hopefully I can find it really quick on the summary. But these plans are what we call portable and convertible. All right. So I apologize. I'm going to try to find it really quick on here. Okay. Portability. If you no longer qualify for coverage, you may be able to continue coverage for yourself and your covered dependent. If you terminate employment, you may be able to convert your coverage to an individual policy. So the point here being that if you're still working for your company, but you're no longer a full-timer, right? Meaning you no longer are qualifying for coverage as a full-time employee, you can continue this by porting it to an individual plan. If you've terminated employment, pardon me, you can convert this to a permanent individual policy again outside the group. So the importance of getting some of this coverage today is that it will help you to better plan for the future, even if you do retire from the Temple later on.
Okay.
Yeah, the other thing that's interesting in this additional benefits is right there, it says that there was an accelerated death benefit. So if you had something that was terminal, right, they're actually going to give you a portion of that benefit, up front, and then they're going to pay out the rest, when the person, passes away. That's just a nice feature of the policy because it's giving you something, intermittently. And some people, when they find out about those things, need money to pay expenses, or they might want to go on a really quick trip somewhere before things are really bad. But there's a whole purpose for why they do that.
Okay. So I apologize. I didn't do something today that I was supposed to do. I'm going to be open and honest about it. There's three other plans we have to go through. I'm going to go through the EAP really quick. There's 2 others that aren't listed here. I was supposed to add, and I ran out of time this morning, a flexible spending account information and dependent care flexible spending account. So I'm going to talk about those briefly after the EAP, and I'll get those added over the next 24 hours, but I apologize. But let me quickly go through the EAP so you'll know what that benefit is. Whoops. I got to go back to me. Uh-oh. Where am I? Here's Chuck. Whoops. I should be here. Oh, there I am. Sorry.
You found
Okay.
yourself?
I found myself.
You're so
Okay.
young.
Yeah. Okay. So EAP. Again, this is another benefit now provided by the Temple. EAP stands for Employee Assistance Plan. All right. You're going to be in a premier EAP plan through Principal Financial. And the beauty of this plan is, number one, it comes to you free of cost. All right. They're going to give you legal, financial, identity theft resources. They're going to give you 3 counseling sessions in person per problem per year. So if you're having an issue and you don't want to go through your medical plan under this EAP plan, even for people not enrolling in the medical, they can get unlimited telephone consultations and up to 3 in-person visits with a counselor on the issue or concern they're having. So maybe it's a financial concern, maybe it's a family concern, maybe it's something personal, whatever it is, this coverage is above and beyond what's generally covered under your medical plan. And all of these visits and all of the assistance here is free of charge, right? Being covered by what the Temple has done. All right. I don't think you had this type of plan in the past. All right. It's a terrific benefit. All right. You can go and create an account online, member.magellanhealthcare.com. If you want to do that, you can also call them. Believe it or not, they're also available international, right? But the main issue here that your employer wants you to know, you have people who are backing you up who can help you 100% confidential outside your medical plan, so you don't have to enroll in that if you don't need to. Legal, financial, identity theft, you name it, they're going to be there to help you, right? It's an incredible benefit. And at the end of the day, right, remember there's a $0 cost for all the employees. All right, let me take a brief moment. And again, I do apologize about the FSA. FSA stands for Flexible Spending Account. Your employer has had us open up 2 new styles of plans for all the employees. There's an FSA for healthcare that they call it, and there's an FSA for dependent care. Under the FSA for healthcare, you can take money pre-tax out of your paycheck, and you're going to get that yearly amount, whatever that adds up to, upfront in a prepaid card. That prepaid card, whether it's a debit, Visa, or MasterCard, is there to help you pay for co-payments for the doctor, to pay for prescriptions. Maybe you or a loved one needs a lot of dental care and you want an easy way to stretch out the payments for it. Maybe you go to a chiropractor, right? And you don't want to go to an in-network chiropractor. You have your own family chiropractor who's not in the network. All right. Maybe you want really high-end glasses. There's a whole range of reasons you can utilize this money for that are outside of your insurance contract, and it's there to help you cover all that cost. So for example, my wife and I every year go for routine screenings, MRIs, and CAT scans. So we know that's going to cost us $1,000 a year because of the type of screenings we do. Because we know that cost is going to be there no matter what, if we take $80 a month out of our paycheck, which adds up to a really close to $1,000, we can get $1,000 benefit so that when we go to that doctor to pay for that care, we can pay for it pre-tax. So the big advantage of an FSA for healthcare is you're paying for all of those services pre-tax, prescriptions, you name it. If you're in a 20% bracket, that means you're not paying that 20% taxes on paying for those copays. So think about the situation we all find ourselves in. You buy your medical plan, you've done a great job of planning. Someone in the family needs a lot of medicine, you go to CVS, and all of a sudden they go, well, this is going to be $84, $104, whatever it may be. To earn that $84 or $104, you need to earn 20 or 25% more because of the taxes to pay for that the way things are today. But with an FSA for healthcare, you don't have to do that by doing a little bit of planning. So in general, what we ask our clients to consider this: how did you utilize your healthcare over the last 12 months? Or how are you going to utilize your plan over the next 12 months if you have an upcoming surgery or need? From that, we try to develop a profile of what your cost will be so that you can put money pre-tax into this plan and get the best tax advantage possible. Similarly, the FSA for dependent care does the same thing, but it's a little bit different. Under the FSA for healthcare, you're able to get the advantage of not only doing it pre-tax, but getting some of that money in advance of having put it through your payroll. The FSA for dependent care does not do that. So for example, if you say, well, I have childcare expenses for my child up to the age of 13 of $3,000 per year, you can say, well, I want to do that pre-tax through the dependent care account. Maybe they're going through childcare, whatever it may be. If you do have that childcare expense, we want you to know that you now have a pre-tax plan to take advantage of. All of the documentation on that will be in your portal within 24, maximum 48 hours. I apologize about that. If you have any questions, we would encourage you, of course, to reach out to us to help you plan for that. But those two new tax advantage plans, again, are something that would be entirely new to all the employees. Maybe you had them as an old employer, I don't know, but your company wanted you to have benefits as if you were a 200-man company. So they're kind of giving you the advantage of life insurance, short and long-term disability, all of these ancillary plans, you know, all of the benefits of guaranteed issue, and as well now these new plans, right, which are designed to give you a tax advantage. Any question on that?
Yes, Chuck, when you go to add in the two FSA options that are currently not on there, can you also check to see what employees have quote unquote finished their open enrollment? Because they may need to
I appreciate that, and that's my mistake. Of course, what we'll do is not only will we email the employees, but if it's okay, I'll copy you on any employees who may have quickly previously finished, so that you know, okay, you know, we've reached out to them, we let them know about it, because we just want to make sure that everyone at least takes a look at it.
Yes.
Right before open enrollment closes.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. Boy, I guess I'm more long-winded than I thought. I apologize. It's almost 5 p.m. I apologize for that.
But we appreciate your time because this is so important. We have so many new benefits available to our employees. Our medical insurance carrier is changing. So this is a really important webinar that I really appreciate you and Jonathan being available to conduct. So thank you for your time.
It's our pleasure. Just one last thing, just as a quick reminder, remember the compare tab button. We find it to be very valuable for a lot of employees when they're looking at the medical plans to be able to look at them side by side. All right. We are always here to assist, not just during open enrollment. We're here, right, most every day of the year. So please do remember that. But we'd also love it if you were able to take the time with Jonathan or myself for a brief consultation if we can help.
Yes, and be sure if you do want to take advantage of this comparison and plans to go down and convert it to an Excel spreadsheet. I went through and looked at this earlier, but I didn't see the option to export it to Excel. So that's I will go back and do that myself.
Okay, but it's great. It gives you a brief side by side. So if you want to talk about this with a loved one or partner, it gives you kind of the main talking points. What is the deductible? What is the cost at the doctor? What is the cost for prescriptions? What's the out-of-pocket maximum, and so on? It makes it really easy for you to compare this possibly to a benefit you may have through a spouse or partner. Okay. Well, with that, I just want to thank you all for the extended time today. I know it's a lot of information, but you guys have some incredible plans to look through and consider. Thank you, Leslie, very much for helping us through it. And Jonathan, any final words?
No, I think we are good. I definitely think that probably the hardest part of this can sometimes be logging in, but everybody can use the password that they had previously when we did the dental and vision. One thing that we didn't say is that for the people enrolled in the dental and vision, you'll see your previous plan. So if you were curious about, oh, what dental plan did I have, you know, a few months back, that will be there, and whether you had vision. The other thing is if you get stuck logging in, not to worry. There are so many different ways that you can get back in. Sometimes people can do it themselves, but if you really get stuck, ultimately you can reach out to us. We can reset your password. We don't know what your password is. They're all encrypted somewhere, so we can just reset it to a generic one, and then you can go ahead and then fix it right after that. The other thing is that a lot of people think they have to do this on their computer. We went through a whole meeting the other day. We did everything on people's cell phones. So you can do it on a cell phone. You can actually sign with your finger on the cell phone or a tablet, and you can do it on the computer. So what is really your preferred method, they're all available and pretty easy to get through. Once you kind of know the medical plan that you're thinking about, I think the rest of the stuff is pretty easy, and it might only take you, 7 to 10 minutes to complete everything. And then, at the end of the day, I think that means that Leslie doesn't have to come hunt you down.
I know where people work.
All right.
You might know where they live.
I do actually.
We thank you all very much. Have a wonderful
Yes.
afternoon.
Thank
And of
you.
course, a wonderful holiday.
Thanks again, Chuck. Thanks again, Jonathan. I appreciate your time. I just want to remind all of the TBH staff that open enrollment is active and open for the portal is active and open for all to enroll. There are 2 modules that we still need to get added on there: the FSA for health benefits, the FSA for dependent child care. But all open enrollment is currently active and available through Monday, December 5th. So the deadline is Monday, December 5th. Every employee that's eligible that received the emails must enroll and go through this open enrollment process no later than December 5th.
And please don't forget your beneficiaries.
Yes.
And you know what? I expect that everybody's going to go in on December 4th at 11 p.m.
Please no, because if you have questions, we want to be able to have time to help you guys and answer questions. So please don't wait till the last minute.
Yes, do not wait.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, have a good day.
Bye.